Welcome to PenGen's Inkwell podcast. My name is Jen Waters. I hope you enjoy my stories. The unicorn cure was inspired by my fascination with horses, especially the idea of a unicorn, a mythical wingless creature with a single straight horn projecting from its forehead. Of course, a unicorn is different from a Pegasus, which is a hornless horse with wings. Although I don't own a horse, I like to go horseback riding whenever I can. I once rode a horse through the ocean in Jamaica. Apparently, horses like to swim, especially when it's hot outside. As I rode on my horse's back through the ocean, I just remember thinking the horse was breathing so heavily, but he must have been having fun. Then we ran on the beach after our ocean adventure. I also had fun horseback riding through the Malibu Canyon and other places as well. But as you can imagine, I've never ridden a unicorn. Although mythical unicorns can symbolize many things, in the medieval ages, literature, culture, and art, especially several paintings and tapestries, unicorns were used as a symbol of Christ. Many people don't realize it, but the Hebrew scriptures mention unicorns, such as Psalm 92:10. But my horn shalt thou exalt like the horn of an unicorn. I shall be anointed with fresh oil. Numbers 23:22 says God brought them out of Egypt. He hath, as it were, the strength of a unicorn. Such passages which reflect the strength of God as a unicorn make you wonder if unicorns really did exist at some point. However, unicorn is also translated in some translations as a wild ox or rhinoceros. How unicorns became a symbol of Jesus in the medieval ages is an interesting thought. Much like Jesus' healing powers, the unicorn horn was thought to have medical healing qualities, and a unicorn was considered fierce and strong like Christ. Many people believed that a unicorn horn could protect you from poison, so cups were often made from horns of various beasts. Likewise, many people believed that if the unicorn horn could touch water, it would purify it. So I created a unicorn character named Penrose, which is Welsh or Cornish for top of the heath. He is fiercely defensive of Sunshine, a princess in the fictional land of Gras. Like a medieval unicorn, Penrose and his horn have many healing powers and virtues. In Sunshine's defense, Penrose gives his life for the princess, much like Aslan the lion gives his life for Edmund in The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe in the Chronicles of Narnia by C.S. Lewis. In that way, my story, The Unicorn Cure, is an allegory or metaphor for the story of Jesus, especially when Penrose appears in Sunshine's bedroom, even though the unicorn is supposed to be dead after sacrificing his life for her. Although no one has ever proven that unicorns exist, it is nice to think that they might be real after all. Until then, please enjoy my story, The Unicorn Cure, scored to the Sunshine theme by Eric Baines. Once there was a girl named Sunshine in the land of Gras, whose best friend was a unicorn named Penrose. Because her father was King of Gras and her mother was the queen, she lived in a Scottish medieval castle. Penrose went with her everywhere she went, protecting her from harmful beasts in the enchanted forest. She loved to play with him in a rose garden and splash with him in the hot, bubbling mineral springs. "I love your horn," 12-year-old Sunshine announced, touching the ivory knife-like spear on his slender forehead. Only the rhinoceros was known to have a similar horn on its head, and this unicorn's alicorn had a red tip. More than once, his horn had pierced the heart of beasts in the forest in Sunshine's defense. Although she was a princess, she had many jealous enemies trying to prevent her destiny to rule Gras as queen. Sometimes she would spend the night with Penrose in his unicorn lair, next to her family castle. She brushed his silky white coat with her own golden hairbrush and braided his long flowing tail. "No one dares come anywhere near me when you're by my side," she voiced, stroking his satin fur. On days when Sunshine was sick, Penrose helped her get well quickly. His horn had magical healing qualities, and he would grind it against a rock and mix its power in a tea as a potion to cure her ailments. Days later, his horn would grow back to its regular shape, as if he had never used it as medicine. When Sunshine would swim in a river or lake, He would dip his horn in it first, cleansing it for her. He was always making sure that she would never be poisoned by the evils of the forest. In fact, the cup itself from which Sunshine would drink was made from Penrose's unicorn horn. On the base of the cup was inscribed, "But my horn shalt thou exalt, like the horn of a unicorn. I shall be anointed with fresh oil." So whatever Sunshine drank was purified by Penrose's purifying healing powers and virtues. "Let's take a nap together by the river," Sunshine wisped one afternoon in the beautiful forest. The unicorn curled up next to her in the tall grass, neighing, and fell asleep with his head on her lap. That particular afternoon, beasts had been watching the pair from a distance, waiting to pounce. As Sunshine and Penrose rested, the beasts circled, and when Penrose was fully asleep, the creatures descended. "Stop!" Sunshine screamed as loud as she could, as if wakened from a nightmare. Penrose rose to his feet. Although it was devastating, Penrose threw himself in front of the beasts, giving Sunshine a chance to flee. As she ran into the distance, she saw the beasts slaughter her most majestic best friend. She cried all night until she could no longer produce tears, and she felt sick to her stomach. She sobbed, "Why did Penrose have to die? I will never be able to go on. I miss him so much that I can hardly breathe." "Why do you weep as though I am dead?" A sudden voice boomed in her bedroom, shaking the walls. There stood Penrose in all his glory and stately heroism. "I am now more real than ever before," he declared. She ran across the room and threw her arms around his neck, kissing his cheeks as she wept. "I thought you had died," she cried. "You're my beloved companion. Never leave me again." Almost like an angelic being, Penrose accompanied Sunshine until the day she died. But only she saw him. Although unicorns from other lands would visit Sunshine in Penrose's honor, even they could not see him. Others could feel his presence and had been warned of his intervention in her life time and again. Since Penrose was invisible, his ability to care for her tripled. Compared to when he was seen by all, she has magical protection from Penrose. The people of Gras whispered among themselves. She was feared more than all women because of the unicorn's legendary acts of bravery to defend her. One time, Penrose's mystical shadow cast a dragon into the Sea of Forgetfulness to protect her. She even wore a beautiful braided unicorn necklace around her neck carved from his ivory alicorn. If predators advanced against her, it would send a beam of blinding light into their eyes. "Ah!" her enemies yelled. "What is that bright light in my eyes? I can't see anything." Of course, she could never forget Penrose because he was always with her, even if no one else could see him. "I have, as it were, the strength of a unicorn," Sunshine sang, rising from bed each morning in her castle. As Queen of Gras, she sat on an ivory throne made of Penrose's magical alicorn, reigning until age 120. As time went by, the beasts of the forest never again attacked anyone of noble heart, for they had been eradicated from earth with Penrose's vengeance. In death, he accomplished more than he ever could in life, raising Sunshine like the golden queen that she was for her parents and her people. This has been Pengen's Inkwell Podcast. I wrote and performed all the original stories in the podcast. This podcast is produced by Eric Baines, who scored all the stories and poems in the series to original and public domain music. The podcast is associated with my blog of the same name, Pengen's Inkwell, which can be found on my website, jenwaters.com.